My name is Erich Ferrari. The Public Affairs Alliance of Iranian Americans, PAAIA, has asked me to do an educational video series on Iran sanctions and how they impact the Iranian American community. While this video series will provide answers on many common questions regarding Iranian sanctions and how they impact the Iranian American community, nothing in this video series should be construed as legal advice. If you have specific questions regarding how Iran sanctions may impact you, you should contact a licensed legal professional who has experience in dealing with the Office of Foreign Assets Control and is knowledgeable about U.S. economic sanctions targeting Iran. What is OFAC? OFAC stands for the Office of Foreign Assets Control. They are an agency within the U.S. Department of Treasury whose sole responsibility is the implementation, administration, and enforcement of U.S. economic sanctions programs. It's important to note that OFAC views themselves not as a regulator, but as a law enforcement agency. Why is that important to note? It shows that OFAC's primary agenda is on enforcing U.S. economic sanctions, and enforcement often guides their thinking in terms of how to administer their sanctions programs. U.S. persons are subject to OFAC regulations. U.S. persons, as defined in the Iranian Transactions and Sanctions Regulations, include U.S. citizens, permanent legal residents or green card holders, those physically present in the U.S., and companies formed under the laws of any state of the United States. In addition, those parties who are not U.S. persons, as I've just defined them, but who are dealing in U.S. origin goods or services, can also fall under OFAC's jurisdiction. The answer is yes. The U.S. citizen, despite the fact that they've moved to Iran, is still considered a U.S. person no matter where they go. As such, they are engaged in transactions for Iranian origin services, and they have engaged in an OFAC violation. Again, the answer is yes. You have a U.S. person, namely a U.S. permanent legal resident, who is engaged in an export of services to Iran, namely the renting of commercial property space. Despite the fact that he's living in the UAE, he's still considered a U.S. person and therefore obligated to abide by OFAC regulations. The answer again is yes. In this scenario, we don't have a U.S. person because we're dealing with an Iranian national residing in the UAE. However, since they're exporting U.S. origin fishing equipment, there's a U.S. good involved, and as such, jurisdiction extends to that transaction. Under traditional theories of conspiracy, this individual can be obligated to follow the Iranian transaction sanctions regulations, and an export of U.S. origin goods by them can constitute an OFAC violation. The factual scenarios can go on forever. The important thing to note here is that there's a U.S. nexus in all of these transactions. Either there's a U.S. citizen or permanent legal resident involved, U.S. goods or services are involved, or you have a U.S. company involved. If you have the U.S. nexus and you have a transaction with a sanctioned jurisdiction such as Iran, there's a high likelihood that that transaction is prohibited and can constitute an OFAC violation. Again, everything that we've said in this video today is informative in nature and should not be construed as legal advice. If you have specific questions, contact a licensed legal professional with experience in dealing with OFAC and who's knowledgeable about the OFAC regulations. Thank you.